Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Z. I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in transgender care. Welcome to my channel. I am trying on a virtual black background. You all know how much I love my color black. I'm also so happy it covers up the usual door behind me, so it's a little nitpicking. But all of you, my regulars, let me know how is it visually, if it's not too hard on the eyes. I love it, but of course I love it. I'm going to try not to move so that way it doesn't move with me. So let me know. But let's get to our topic today. So today's topic is that I want to explore with all of you and discuss is why is it a lot of you still struggling to accept that you are transgender? Why are so many of you still wondering if you are crazy, not literally, figuratively? A lot of you still wondering if your mind is making this up. And a lot of you are still wondering if somehow you convinced yourself that you are trans. I know that especially a lot of you who had repressed dysphoria, which you experienced most likely when you were younger, but had to repress it due to childhood, due to circumstances, due to environment. And suddenly your repressed dysphoria came to the surface later in your adulthood, later in your life. And it may feel very much when that happens, like your mind is playing tricks at you. It can feel very much as in you're having what I call mind fuck, when your mind is just wondering what the hell is going on? How could this possibly happen? So I know that for a lot of you, especially right now, moving forward with transition is very difficult because you're constantly wondering, is this really real? Is this really happening? Is this really genuinely gender dysphoria? And for the rest of you, well, it's very common to still wonder that. And one of the biggest reasons why all of you are wondering if you are crazy, again, not literally, is because we seldom talk about or take into effect the fact that the world and the way the world is organized today, socially and culturally, and the way it is structured is in such a binary way: boy, girl, man, woman, pink, blue. No matter where you look, organizations, policies, laws, department stores, children's section, clothing section, I mean, you name it. Everything is gendered, and gendered based on today's norms, which are by far binary. And when you live in such a world, what happens to you as being a person that is saturated in such context and organization of the world is that you become gaslit. The world, in other words, is gaslighting you into making you believe you are crazy. Now, the world is gaslighting you by far and large, not purposefully, not directly. Sure, there are people who do it directly, but by far and large, it just so happens that this is the organization and the structure of the world that we live in today. And we also know that it's continued to change and continue to be modified and continue to take on completely different relationship to what gender is. So the world, fortunately, is changing, albeit slowly. And sadly, because all of us have to exist in this particular orientation of the world, by proxy, by proximity and saturation of being in this world, you start feeling like you're crazy. This is what happens when you experience gaslighting. Gaslighting is essentially when, especially, well, it refers to the way people talk to you. You also can gaslight other people by the way you talk to them. But it's essentially how things are spoken to you, expressed to you, in such a way where it makes you question your sanity, where it makes you question whether what you think is actually real. Because you see, as human beings, we have to rely on what we presume our senses. Now, a lot of us know that our senses are incredibly limited, and there's far more to our senses than just smell, a sense of seeing, a sense of touch, sense of hearing. We know that there's more to it. But as humans, we tend to rely on it. And when you live in a world where what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're touching is by far keeps telling you, man or woman, boy or girl, pink or blue, at some point you will start, even on an unconscious level, question just how sane your personal reality is. This is what a lot of other marginalized groups experience and have experienced. This is what a lot of you are experiencing. Anybody who is marginalized will experience this. And you experience this in relationship to your gender. So when you have people around you that are telling you, you can be trans, you don't have any history, I never seen you gender bending, that's a form of gaslighting. Whether people are aware of it or not, whether people are trying to do it directly or indirectly, that's a form of gaslighting. And it's making you stop in your tracks and ask yourself whether you really are. When you go into department store and you identify as non-binary and you get misgendered again and again and again and again, that's an indirect form of gaslighting that makes you also question whether you have space in this world, whether you can exist in this reality. That's how the world operates. So we seldom think about how the world tends to gaslight all of you, all of us, in the particular construct. Yes. And that's why a lot of you are wondering whether you are losing your marbles. Pardon my French. Well, it's not cursing, but it's not a nice way of framing it. You're not crazy. And you're not going insane. You're questioning your sense of validity because you are existing in and of the world that has yet to create full space for you. And as a result, you're questioning yourself. But you're not crazy and you're not losing your marbles. This is why it's so important for all of you to get together with people who are like-minded, to get together with people who see you, whether there are other trans folks or people of any other genders that really see you in relationship to your gender. This is why it's so important to surround yourself by aspect of the world that makes you feel seen, even if it's on a very small scale. Because otherwise, if everywhere you look, you don't see yourself reflected back, how do you know you exist? Right? This is the biggest challenge. The way we experience things is very experiential and very subjective to our sense of self. And if I'm, for example, voluptuous, and I look back and I don't see this body type reflected back to me, I will start questioning whether there's something wrong with my voluptuousness. The same thing is happening to you. Fortunately, there are a lot of transgender folks out there. So there's a lot of role models and people for you to look up to surround yourself with, even on social media. So I want you to think about this every time you start questioning your trans identity. And here's the thing I want to clarify. Every time you start questioning your trans identity, not because you yourself don't have a deeper sense of knowing, or not because you actually know you're trans, right? If you're questioning because you're exploring your gender and you're in those early stages of exploration and you yourself exploring your inner terrain, that's a different type of questioning. But if you wake up and you know you're trans, but you're questioning if you're trans because once you live outside your door and the world tells you you don't exist, I want you to remember that this is a form of gaslighting. It doesn't happen to you directly in a sense that it's not like the world is conspiring against you, although we can all argue that there are organizations and people that are. But by far and large, there's not a lot of benevolent gaslighting. Because The space has not been made for you. So I want you all to remember you're all making space for that. You're all making space to broaden those constructs, those understandings, those ideas. You're making the world broader. You're creating breadth and depth in this very flattened binary way of seeing. I know it doesn't sound very pioneering, and I'm not trying to put fire up your ass and make you feel like, wow, we're all pioneers at expense of the world gaslighting us. No, this is just reality. So every time you feel like the world is making you crazy, yeah, it's kind of does makes you crazy. It kind of does makes you ration your reality. Find something that grounds you in your reality. Find something that grounds you in your knowing. One of the things that's going to help you ground yourself in your knowing is taking steps toward yourself. The steps you take is to make you feel confident and affirmed and good about yourself. That is your own grounding. Hold on to that grounding and continue with that grounding. Comment below, let me know, how has the world made you feel? I know a lot of you feel like the world just makes you crazy. I know that a lot of you who are watching this in different regions of the world, a lot of you who are watching this are not even in the United States. And I know that for some of you, the world in which you exist is even more challenging than the world in the United States. So comment below, share, and share with others. How do you tend to go about it? How do you tend to cope? What helps you? What helps you sustain and hold on to your sense of who you are? I see you. A lot of other people see you. You're not invisible. You may be invisible to the other aspects of the world, but you're not invisible to the whole world. So comment below, let me know. And comment below, let me know, is that a keeper or not keeper? And I'll see you all next time. Bye.